a processional. While we remain standing, we will officially commence as we take the national anthem, the first stanza. After that, the next will be the university anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians own and proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
The university anthem.
On the green lowlands and swampy plains of the New Calabar River stands the University of Port Harcourt,
Please be seated. Our very special guest, every one of you, it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to this very important inaugural lecture, number 201 inaugural lecture. Vice Chancellor, sir, please kindly permit me, today is a very special day because for the sake of you, some own power source, our own generator. We apologize for that. Vice Chancellor, sir, I want to use this very little opportunity to inform our public that there is a change in leadership in the hierarchy of Deputy Vice Chancellors. And we usually don't do introductions, but for the sake of those of you who are here for the first time asking about the new faces there, we have the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration of the university, the brand new DVC admin, Professor C.C. Onyenso, Professor Chukudi Onyenso. That's the new DVC administration. The next is the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic of the university, Professor Rosemary Ogu. And the next is Professor Angela Frank Briggs, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Research and Development. Others remain constant. Thank you very much. May I respectfully hand over to the Registrar of the University, represented by the Director of Academic Affairs, for the rest of today's proceedings. Thank you very much.
I join the PRO to welcome every one of you very warmly to this special time and event. Good afternoon. Standing on the existing protocol, may I invite the Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Unari Abraham Georgewell, to make his opening remarks. Vice Chancellor, sir.
Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Deputy Vice Chancellor Research and Development, the University Librarian, the Registrar of University ably represented, the Acting Provost, College of Health Sciences, our distinguished professors, directors of centers, staff of the University of Port Harcourt, students of the university, the family of our inaugural lecturer, friends, well-wishers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me, on behalf of the Governing Council of this university, the management, the Senate, the staff and students, and our numerous stakeholders, welcome all of you to this inaugural lecture the 201 series to be delivered by our revered Professor Regina Chinwe Onchekwa of the Department of Radiology. Before we proceed, let me take a moment to acknowledge all of you. I say this because without all of you present here, there will be no inaugural lecture. Obviously, we cannot come and sit for her to talk to us if you all are not present. Your presence here today underscores the value of partnership in our collective academic pursuits. Very importantly, I want to recognize our students of University of Port Harcourt who are here. You are the heart and the soul of this institution. And your pursuit of knowledge continues to inspire all of us. This inaugural lecture is titled Unraveling the Mystery of Grey Shadows, Pains of the Head and Low Back, to be delivered by Professor Regina Onchekwa. It promises to enlighten our minds on how to cut up human body without the surgeon's knife. We must know that an inaugural lecture is more than a tradition. It is a testimony of scholarship, of years of patient research, of critical engagement in knowledge, and of a relentless desire to bring light where there is uncertainty. Today, the light will shine on what Professor Onchekwa Regina calls the mystery of grey shadows. Are the grey shadows she speaks of mere images on films or screens? We will know. She's going to guide us through the remarkable armamentarium of radiology, from the discovery of X-ray to its misuse, from contrast media that are lightly unseen to the breathtaking advances in imaging technology. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that she's going to speak to us with sensitivity on the plight of women whose low back pain, often tribalized, conceals deeper psychophysiological burdens. Please just sit tight and let's take this flight with Professor Regina Onchekwa. And I believe that at the end of the day, knowledge will be shared. Knowledge will be gained. Thank you. God bless us all. Thank you.
I hereby invite the Acting Provost, College of Health Sciences, Professor Onye Anunam Ngozi Ekeke, to deliver the citation. The Provost, please.
Citation on Professor Regina Chinwe Onwuchekwa. Professor Regina Chinwe Onwuchekwa was born on the 4th of July, 1968 in Akokwa, Idata North local government area of Imo State, to the family of Chief Silvanus Ume Okpara and Ezinne Sophia Ndijiono Okpara, both of blessed memory. She attended State School 1, Rebisi, Port Harcourt, from where she proceeded to Uruala Girls High School for her lower secondary education, and later to Akokwa High School, where she completed her secondary education. Both schools are in Idato North local government area of Imo State. At both schools, she served as assistant school timekeeper, prefect, and female senior prefect, respectively. Professor Regina Chinwe Onwuchekwa studied medicine and surgery at the University of Port Harcourt, and she obtained her MBBS degree in
1995. She started her residency training in 2001 at UPTH, and the specialty was that of radiology. She obtained the final fellowship of the West African College of Surgeons in 2007. She was then appointed Lecturer 1 in the College of Health Sciences of University of Port Harcourt in the same 2007, and she had further training in Radiological Society of North America in Chicago and International School of Magnetic Resonance in Medicine in London. She is a member of the Consortium for Advancement of MRI Education and Research in Africa. Professor Chinwe Omochekwa had taught many sets of medical students, dentistry students, and resident doctors radiology since her employment in 2007. She has served as a supervisor and assessor of a number of postgraduate dissertations of the West African College of Surgeons Fellowship, and she is an examiner for West African College of Surgeons. She has served in accreditation panel of the West African College of Surgeons to several different hospitals in Nigeria. She has also assessed many candidates for promotion to professorial cadre, both in Nigeria and in Ghana. She has served as a reviewer and co-editor for many local and international journals. She has also served as acting head of radiology and 2 times head of radiology department in UNIPORT, and also she's the current head of radiology department in UNIPORT. She has also served as head of department of radiology in University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. She has served as Secretary General of Association of Radiologists in West Africa and has been chairman of River State chapter of the Association of Radiologists in Nigeria. She is currently the vice president of Nigerian Society of Abdominal Radiology and a member of Nigerian Society of Neuroradiologists. She has published over 40 research works in both local and international journals that has covered various aspects of learning and breakthrough in radiology. In the process of spreading knowledge and the quest for learning in radiology and medicine generally, she has attended over 30 scientific conferences and presented over 20 research works and traveled to 15 countries. She's a devout Christian and has served her church both in Port Harcourt and hometown Arochukwu in various capacities. She's a noble lady of the Anglican Communion and has received many awards from different churches because of her support for missionary work. Professor Chinwe Regina Onwuchekwa is married to our erudite scholar and physician, a renowned neurologist, Professor Ato Chukwubike Onwuchekwa. Their marriage is blessed with 4 lovely children, 2 medical doctors, a lawyer, and a business administrator.
Thank you, Acting Provost, for the presentation. I dedicate this I dedicate this inaugural lecture to God Almighty, the Vice Chancellor, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Provost College of Sciences, the Registrar, the Librarian, distinguished professors, my distinguished audience, good afternoon. I welcome you from the depth of my heart to this number 201st inaugural lecture series of University of Port Harcourt. This to deliver my inaugural lecture is a moment of great joy to me. I am excited. History is being made today. The Department of Radiology, my department, is delivering its first inaugural lecture in this institution. Thank you. By the first female professor of radiology in Rivers State, the second professor of radiology in University of Port Harcourt, and alumnus of UNIPORT. I thank the inaugural committee for their efforts in making this possible. In this inaugural lecture, I title Unraveling the Mystery of Gray Shadows, Pains of the Head and Low Back. I will speak on how the radiologists working behind the scene unravel the mystery of diseases by interpreting the gray shadows in radiological images, as well as my contributions to knowledge in radiology and in medicine generally. In the book of Job chapter 12, verse 22, the Holy Scripture says, He discovered deep things out of darkness, and bringeth out to light the shadow of death. The human internal structure, as you can see there, is covered with skin and bones which are not transparent to the human eyes. However, for the radiologists, science and technology have made it possible for them to see beyond the skin and bones what the human eyes cannot see, making radiology the eye of modern medicine, which unravels the shadows of death and disabilities. My journey in radiology started some 24 years ago when I joined the Department of Radiology, UPTH, in 2001 as a resident doctor. I successfully completed my West African College of Surgeons Fellowship in 2007. The same year, I was appointed a lecturer at University of Port Harcourt and honorary consultant at University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. In 2018, I was promoted to the rank of Professor of Radiology. My research interest as an academic is in neuroradiology and radiology of small parts. Diseases of the body present with symptoms and signs which are obvious to humans, but the changes in the body tissue from these diseases are sealed. Imaging technology unravels the mystery behind the symptoms and signs by presenting the body tissues in grayscale shadows as shown in this image from the different radiological modalities. For the central nervous system, cross-sectional imaging, which slices the body to show in gray shadows what is inside, is a game changer. Before I continue, I would like to share this case which we published in a peer-reviewed journal in 2007. It's a case of Mrs. F.O., a 28-year-old pregnant woman who was sent to us for assessment of the baby in her womb using ultrasonography in January 2007. She had abdominal pain and constipation 3 weeks earlier and developed severe abdominal pain and vomiting a day before she came to us. And when we scanned the patient, we saw more than a baby in the womb. We saw a part of the small intestine squeeze into the lumen of a possible segment. This condition is called intussusception. It is a kind of intestinal obstruction. The affected one was gangrenous, that is dead. So the patient was taken to the theater the same day, and the affected one was removed. She was discharged in stable condition 8 days after surgery, and she had her baby at 39 weeks gestation. The ultrasound images we have here show the intussusception and the pregnant uterus. The green arrow is pointing at bowel loop within the lumen of another bowel loop. The blue arrow points at the live baby in the womb. Intussusception is not common in pregnancy. Hence, the clinician who saw these patients never thought of that being the cause of the patient's sickness. And I asked, is this not cross-sectional imaging, unraveling the mystery of gray shadows in intestinal obstruction for a pregnant woman? One may wonder how the radiologist cuts up the human body without the surgeon's knife in this business of unraveling the mystery of diseases. Look at the variety of equipment used in radiology to capture the images of the human body which the radiologist interprets. All the machines there use ionizing radiations in form of X-rays and gamma rays, except the ultrasonography machines which use sound energy, and the magnetic resonance imaging machines which use radio frequency waves and magnetic fields. X-ray was the first energy used in imaging for many years before other energies were introduced. X-ray was accidentally discovered on the 8th of November 1895 by a German physicist called Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen, while experimenting on electricity in his laboratory at the University of Würzburg. And that became the first human radiograph and was shown to the world in January 1896. The picture we have there is the picture of Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen, and this is the first human radiograph. Look at those beautiful rings. They look like 24 karat gold. Is that not so? Neuroimaging is radiological evaluation of the nervous system and structures around the nervous system. The central nervous system is a component of the nervous system comprising the brain and the spinal cord. The brain and spinal cord are completely covered in bones, as shown in this whole body MRI image. The brain lies in the cranial cavity in the head, while the spinal cord lies in the spinal canal within the bones of the spine at our back. Diseases affecting the brain or the spinal cord are not seen by either the clinician or the patients, except for diseases that will destroy these bones, causing ulcer or swelling. The clinicians base their diagnosis on what they hear from the patients and what they can purpose. And I ask, how reliable are the patient stories? And how sensitive are the clinicians' hands? Though short of perfection, that was a practice for many years until cross-sectional imaging came in to unravel the mystery behind the diseases of the body. There are diseases of the brain. The cause must be diagnosed to enable proper management. One of these, and the most common requiring attention, is stroke. The first two studies we carried out on cross-sectional imaging in UPTH shows that stroke is the commonest reason for head scans. When stroke occurs, there is mental and physical disabilities. It's like a heavy load on the head of both the patients and the relatives. It is a pain of the head, awaiting cross-sectional imaging to unravel the mystery behind its gray shadows. Stroke occurs when blood vessel to the brain is cut off, either due to blockage of the lumen of the vessel or rupture in the wall of the vessel, as shown in these pictures. Stroke occurs when blood supply to the brain is cut off. As I have explained, this leads to poor blood supply to the brain cells and deprivation of nutrients to the brain cells. This will result in loss in body function on the part of the body being supplied by this group of cells. This loss in body function occurs silently and suddenly, that it is often not attributed to brain problems. Rather, it's assumed to be as a result of spiritual attack. Hence, in a highly religious society like ours, prayers, binding, and casting are the first management for the stroke patient before the patient is taken to the hospital, especially among the uninformed. There are two types of stroke. The commonest is called ischemic stroke. Ischemic stroke results from blood vessel blockage. This occurs when they are less active, especially at night, while asleep, only to wake up and realize that there has been loss of function in a particular part of the body. The other is hemorrhagic stroke. Hemorrhagic stroke results from blood vessel rupture. This is more critical and occurs in people when they are active. There are two subtypes of hemorrhagic stroke. The subarachnoid hemorrhage, where the blood is released on the surface of the brain, and intracerebral hemorrhage, where the blood is released within the brain parenchyma. Computed tomography is the best imaging modality for assessing acute stroke cases in our environment. In fact, it is the gold standard. The images we have here are axial sections of the brain from computed tomography scan. In this cross-sectional imaging, the normal brain has uniform gray shadow. As you can see on the image over there, you can see that the gray shadow is homogeneous. And then in ischemic stroke, the part of the brain that is devoid of blood supply is seen as a smooth dark gray shadow. Sorry. Is seen as a smooth dark gray shadow with loss of brain folds. In hemorrhagic stroke, in the acute phase, the released blood is seen as white gray shadow. I hope you can see the white areas. The white gray shadow in subarachnoid hemorrhage is seen within the brain fissures and on the surface of the brain. While in intracerebral hemorrhage is seen within the brain parenchyma, displacing the brain tissue, as shown by the red arrow. In 2009, we carried out a study comparing the diagnostic accuracy of cross-sectional imaging and clinical assessment for stroke. And our analysis showed that cross-sectional imaging has 100% accuracy in diagnosing stroke cases, while clinical assessment has 70.6% accuracy. Based on this, we recommended that for every case of suspected stroke, cross-sectional imaging should be done for accurate diagnosis. In another study, we looked at the risk factors for stroke, that is the conditions that predispose people to having stroke, and our findings show that hypertension, high blood cholesterol, tobacco smoking, diabetes mellitus, and previous transient ischemic attack are the common risk factors for stroke. We also look at the presentation, how these stroke patients present when they have stroke. And our findings show that majority of the patients present with weakness of one part of the body, inability to move one part of the body, facial drooping, speech abnormality, and the impairment of consciousness. There are conditions that present like stroke, but they are not stroke. These are called stroke mimics. These stroke mimics may interfere with clinical assessment of stroke and lead to diagnostic errors. Some of these stroke mimics include brain abscess, brain tumors, intracranial bleed, and epilepsy. In another study, we looked at the interval between when stroke occurs and when computed tomography scan is done for the stroke patients. This corresponds to when the patient is brought to the hospital for medical care. This ranges from 3 days to 4 weeks, which is high. Delay of this sort will lead to poor outcome in some stroke cases. Prompt diagnosis and early commencement of treatment is very important in stroke if the outcome is going to be good. Based on this finding, we posited that a good number of the stroke patients are brought to the hospital after they have suffered permanent brain cell damage. And that may be the reason why some of the stroke patients don't recover well after treatment. Headache is another important condition. The mystery of its gray shadows must be unraveled. Headache is a condition of pain in the head or upper neck as a result of increased pressure on the blood vessels and nerves supplying the coverings of the brain. The brain tissue itself is not sensitive to pain. About 90% of people globally complain of headache during their lifetime. In Nigeria, at any point in time, 70 out of 1,000 people are having headache. With the permission of my Vice Chancellor, sir, I want you to do something for me, please. If you have never had headache before, Please raise your hands. Vice Chancellor, sir, there is no hand up, meaning that all of us in this hall, including myself, have had headache in the past. Headache is very common in our environments. A study we carried out in 2009, assessing the indication for cross-sectional imaging, showed that headache was the indication for 20.7% of all the computed tomography scans done, and 17.6% of all the magnetic resonance images done. If this study is repeated today with the current economic situation in the country, definitely this number may be more. Some headaches are called primary headaches because they are not associated with any intracranial abnormalities or lesions. These include migraine headache, tension headache, cluster headache, and headache associated with hormonal fluctuation in women. Headache associated with intracranial abnormalities are called secondary headaches. These are warning signs of for more serious intracranial lesions, which include meningitis, aneurysms, brain abscess, brain tumors. Secondary headaches are associated with what we call red flags. These red flags are warning signs that a further investigation is required in the patient for proper diagnosis. And some of these red flags include a situation where the patient complains of a first or worst ever headache, when the headache is progressively worsening, when new headache develops in someone who is over 50 years of age, when the headache is associated with systemic illness such as weight loss, fever, or body weakness, or when on clinical examination, a patient is found to have neurological deficits or lesions. In 2010, we reviewed the computed tomography scans done for patients whose main complaint was chronic or recurrent headache. And our analysis showed that for 90% of patients who had headache but no red flags, there was no lesion in their computed tomography images. While approximately 100% of those who had headache with red flags, there was lesion in their computed tomography images. This means that in the absence of red flags, computed tomography yield of brain lesions in a patient with headache is minimal. Based on this, we concluded that routine cross-sectional imaging for headache patient may not be necessary if adequate history is taken from the patient and proper physical examination performed to eliminate the presence of red flags or neurological deficits. Why is attention to red flags in headache patients necessary? Here the case of some of our patients who had headache with red flags. Mr. ZW is a 29-year-old man who presented to us in November 2012 for head MRI. He had earlier presented with headache, fever, and neck stiffness to a health center in a remote area of the state where he was treated for meningitis and discharged home. There was no head scan done. 2 months later, this patient returned to the same hospital with severe headache, neck stiffness, and body weakness. So he was referred to a hospital in Port Harcourt where the clinician sent him for cross-sectional imaging of the head. An MRI was done. And the images came out, and what did we find? There was a brain tumor, a large brain tumor, at the back of the brain, as shown by the red arrow. This brain tumor has blocked the aqueduct of Sivos through which the brain water, called cerebrospinal fluid, from where it passes from the third ventricle to the fourth ventricle. The fourth ventricle was also blocked, so this water collected in the lateral ventricles and the third ventricles, causing them to dilate. That is the gray-white shadow area in the image you can see here. So this is called obstructive hydrocephalus from brain tumor. The patient was referred to the oncology unit for management. This is the beauty of cross-sectional imaging, unraveling the mixture of gray shadows in a patient misdiagnosed as meningitis. The next case is a case we published in a peer-reviewed journal in 2013. It's a case of Mrs. M.U., a 75-year-old lady who presented in July 2013 to the outpatient clinic of UPTH. She had headache, abdominal pain, weight loss, and swelling on the head. The patient was sent to us for skull X-ray and abdominal ultrasonography. And when the images came out, what did we find? There was a soft tissue mass on the head. As you can see, look at that mass. And beneath the mass is the area of bone destruction as shown by that black arrow. And the abdominal ultrasonography show a large gallbladder filled with growing tissues. Based on this finding, we advise that the patient should have computed tomography scan of the abdomen and the head. And when the images came out, what did we find? The abdominal scan showed a large gallbladder filled with cancer cells and gallstones extending to the liver. And the brain scan showed a large brain tumor that has eroded the skull, extended to the scalp, which was responsible for the swelling on the woman's head. This is advanced gallbladder cancer. We spread to the liver, to the brain, to the skull, and to the scalp. The patient passed on a few days later. And I asked, is this not a mystery that a search for the cause of headache and swelling on the head led to unraveling gallbladder cancer by its gray shadows? Pain in the head may be as a result of forceful impacts on the head from different mechanisms. An impact on the head may lead to injury to the skull, to the scalp, or to the brain. Minor injury to the head may not be associated with skull fracture, but there may be extensive intracranial bleed, which could be life-threatening as a result of increased pressure in the intracranial cavity. Head injury may be severe, resulting in skull fracture, brain tear, and bleeds, especially from road traffic accidents and gunshot injuries. Head injury from trauma is a pressing public health concern in Nigeria, as it is compounded by poor road network and influx of substandard vehicles, such as motorcycles and tricycles, popularly called Okada and Keke respectively, which are used for public transportation, predisposing the users to road traffic accidents and head injury. Between 2008 to 2014, we witnessed a high rate of head injuries in the Niger Delta area of Nigeria, not only from road traffic accidents, but also from military assaults as a result of Niger Delta agitation for crude oil compensation, as well as armed robbery and kidnapping. Head injury occurs in individuals of all age groups, but more in the adolescents and the elderly, especially among the male population. A study we conducted in 2018, assessing the admission pattern in the Accident and Emergency Department of UPTH, shows that head injury constituted 20.9% of the total admissions. Majority of these patients require admission for neurosurgery and intensive care due to the critical nature of their head injuries. One of the cases was that of Ms. KK, an 11-year-old girl who presented for head computed tomography scan in March 2018. She fell off her bicycle and was helped home by her friends. She developed persistent headache and dizziness, for which she was taken to a hospital and was treated for malaria. Few days later, Ms. KK developed seizure but no figure. So the clinicians sent her for computed tomography scan. And when the images came out, what did we find? There was a large area of blood collection in the right side of the patient's head, displacing the brain tissue, as shown by the red arrow. This is unraveling the mystery of gray shadows in a patient with bleed in the head from head injury. In another study, we looked at the epidemiology of head injury-related emergency department visits at UPTH with the goal of highlighting the disability. A case fatality of 22.7% was recorded. These deaths were and we are in treatment. Hence, this number is high. And road traffic accident was the major cause of the injury. 38.8% road traffic accidents of 8 a.m. and 8 a.m., which is an early hour of the morning in Nigeria. When there are many vehicles, traffic is relaxed. On the people head injuries. We the risk of these road accidents are poor visibility. That is not seen clearly. Driver sleeping on the steering, speeding, brake failure, and driving under the effect of alcohol. These are the risks that predispose the patient to traffic accidents. Advice: if you must drive when the road appears to be drive carefully. You must be hearing, make sure you rest well and be careful. Your eyes, you should shut your eyes before you the steering. We cannot on unraveling the mentioning cancers and regions. The head and neck cancers are introduced cancers that affect the oral cavity, pharynx, larynx, nasal cavity, paranasal sinuses, and the salivary glands. All these structures are located in the head and neck region, shown in these MRI images. The head carries a lot for us, and that may be why God kept it on top of the body as a king to wear the crowns. It was King Henry IV Shakespeare who said, "Uneasy is the head that wears a crown." As it reflects on the burden and responsibilities that come with being a ruler, so is the head for us. The head and neck cancer constitute 5 to 50% of cancers globally. While estimated 640 cases are diagnosed each year, with 2/3 of this occurring in developing countries like just like in Nigeria. In men than in women. In a study in 2017, we looked at the presentation of head and neck cancers, and we found out that the common causes in the environment include tobacco, alcohol abuse, human infection, vocal abuse. We also look at the presentation, how this patient presents when the patient presents with nosebleeds, nasal and of with headache. These symptoms do produce indications of cosmetic problems. They present with stage when to and surrounding issues. I will share with you in head and neck cancer presentation in our environment. In the case of Mr. Edo, a 47-year-old in June 2016, presented with nasal blockage of 6 months duration and of 2 days duration. Mr. had received medical until he saw blood and then he came to the hospital. Imaging we did for him show a large nasopharyngeal cancer that has spread to the nasal cavity, to the paranasal sinuses, destroyed the maxillary bone, which is a facial bone, and spread to the facial soft tissue. This is a head and neck cancer. The patient was sent to the oncology unit for management. This is cross-sectional imaging, unraveling the mystery of gray shadows in head and neck cancer. Involvement of the paranasal sinus by the head and neck cancer is very common, and it is a very big challenge in medical practice because it is difficult to treat. It is possible for the recurrence of chronic sinusitis tumors after treatment of advanced head and neck cancers. A study we carried out in 2017 assessing the anatomy of the paranasal sinuses using computed tomography scan. This showed that the canal structures out of the 10 subjects we evaluated, we evaluated 209 anatomical variants of nasal sinuses. Shown in these cross-sectional images, ranging from deviation of the nasal septum, hypoplastic nasal turbinate, pneumatization of nasal conchae, presence of aganacid cells, presence of Haller cells, extension of the paranasal sinuses to the surrounding bones, and septations of the sinuses. Collection of mucus or cancer cells in these structures or spaces, which are assessed in the clinic during physical examination, is responsible for tumors. This eye-opening of head and neck cancers, as patients are now sent for cross-sectional imaging before surgery is carried out in cancer sinuses. Identifying and exploring these spaces as surgery has led to reduction in the rate of recurrent infections and tumor. This study was held at a scientific conference in Benin City, stimulated interesting discussion, and it was later published in a peer-reviewed international journal. It has been widely read and cited. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, in the past few minutes, I've been speaking on unraveling the mystery of great shadows for pains of the head. Let us look at the spine and the low back. What the pillar is. See, carrying the brunt of our body weight and our day-to-day movement causes pain. The spine has four curves, which maintain the stability of the body, standing position. The chest, the lumbar, and the throat. Low back pain is a pain muscles and the bones of the spine from the lower edge of the ribs to the lower buttocks, shown in the plain radiograph of the lower back by the red arrow. Of symptoms. The structural of the spine ages in reduction in strength to support the body. This process of aging begins with the intervertebral disc. The intervertebral disc is the white cartilage between the vertebral bodies. This white cartilage are both important structures. The hole between two vertebral bodies called exit foramen, and the nerve leaving the cord through which the nerve leaves the cord, the spinal cord, to supply the body. At this point, the nerve is called the nerve root. In the MRI image, the red arrow is pointing at the disc. This nerve root is very delicate and is very important in maintaining the stability of the body. Supply to the intervertebral from the end place of adjacent vertebral bodies. People get older, the percentage of the nutrients, including water, this is the fibrosis. So this cracks. Why the middle supposed to called disc herniation. This herniation stimulates the small mass around the disc, leading this herniation leads to narrowing of the disc space between the vertebral body. This is the disc space. If you look at all, you can see how big they are, and look at that is smaller because this disc has head. When the herniates, there is instability of the spine, and the body tries to overcome the instability by developing bones from the margin of the vertebral bodies. This is called osteophyte formation. There is osteophyte formation. There is also remodeling vertebral body. All these processes causes weakening of the vertebral body and cause it to collapse. And when the vertebral body with the disc herniation, there is foramen of nerve, leaving foramen. All this will result in pain, weight pain, and will be on both sides. When the lobe 3-year-old 2013. Pain he felt at his left leg. The patient was for X-ray of the thigh. When you look at the images, as you can see on the screen, there is no lesion. We did not see any lesion. So we are that the patient should have cross-sectional imaging, and MRI was. What did we find? Which is as a result of this herniation, and narrowing of the spinal canal, as well as narrowing of the exit foramen here and then compression of the nerve, which was responsible for the pain the man felt down his leg. This is cross-sectional imaging, unraveling the mystery of gray shadows in a patient misdiagnosed as bone fracture. In standing position, the lower back makes an angle with the horizontal, as shown in the X-ray image of the lower back. You can see this angle. Then on the sketch, you can also see the angle. This angle is called lordotic angle or lumbosacral angle. This angle determines the stability of the lower back in standing position. The angle reaches its peak at the 4th decade of life. Increase or decrease in the angle will lead to low back pain. In 2012, we carried out a study assessing the lumbosacral angle of men in Port Harcourt using plain radiograph, because most of these patients come to us for X-ray of the lower back as a result of low back pain. And we found out that most of the subjects had lordotic angle either below or above the average, which is about 36.1 degree. This angle is usually high in some people. Naturally, it can be high in some people. But in others, it may increase due to bad posture, obesity, wearing of high heel shoe for extended period of time, especially among the ladies, pregnancy, osteoporosis, which is generalized weakness of the body, for which you should be taking multivitamins to strengthen your bones, and weak muscle core. Having discussed some of the researches I did to get to the rank of professor in this university, I want to inform you that I have not dissipated all my energy yet. There are prospects for the future. I am focusing on developing interventional radiology for the practice of developing interventional radiology for the treatment of diseases of the central nervous system. Image-guided neurointervention is a leading approach in the management of central nervous system diseases. Magnetic resonance imaging-guided convention-enhanced delivery, where medication is delivered into the brain in the region where it is required using catheter, has improved precision and efficacy in the treatment of some diseases of the central nervous system. These practices are not yet developed in Nigeria, but we in the Neuroradiology Society of Nigeria, we are making efforts to see that we develop this practice in Nigeria so that others will benefit. Derived from my inaugural lecture are the following actionable recommendations crafted to guide various stakeholders in the pursuit to have sustainable medical care and healthy living, as well as learning and research opportunities for the students and lecturers. All the various stakeholders have roles to play in the Medicare. The governments, both at the federal and state government level, should strengthen the healthcare facilities by making imaging equipment available in all government health centers. They should establish trauma and stroke centers where the staff are highly trained specifically to manage cases of trauma and stroke. Patients treated in such centers do well and the outcome is better. Social and physical rehabilitation for people who survive stroke, head injuries, and cancer treatment is very important. Rehabilitation centers should be sited in every state and be located at strategic areas where it can easily be accessed by members of the public. Road maintenance and the adequate evaluation of vehicles and drivers by relevant government authorities is very important to reduce accidents on our roads. Industries and communities have roles to play. The industries and rich individuals in the community should donate imaging equipment to the health facilities in their area. This will improve health services in such areas. They should sponsor for training and research radiologists, radiographers, and nurses managing these patients to undergo further training, acquire new skills, and carry out researches in areas of needs. The university has a role to play. The university should incorporate into the students' curriculum education on healthy lifestyle. This will enable the students to know how to live healthy, the need for regular exercise, regular medical check, advantages of healthy diet, and use of multivitamin supplements. Research and innovation in radiology, very important. The university already has simulation center where the medical students are having hands-on training. Vice Chancellor, sir, if you acquire imaging equipment and portable radiology training mannequins for the simulation center, it will improve research and learning in that center. And I am available to teach. Individuals like you and I, what can we do? We should be conscious of our health. Proper sitting and lying position, which maintains the natural curves of the spine, helps to protect the spine from degeneration and low back pain. We should take a sick person to the hospital without delay. Early detection of disease makes the management better and the outcome good. We should cultivate the habit of annual medical check with our physicians. Hypertension and diabetes are the major culprits that predispose people to developing stroke. If we begin to have our medical check early in life, these diseases will be detected early and managed, and this will reduce the rate of stroke in our environments. In conclusion, in these few minutes, I have spoken on how the radiologists working behind the scene unravel the mystery of diseases in the human body by interpreting the gray shadows in radiological images, as well as my contribution to knowledge in radiology and in medicine generally, especially as regards diseases of the central nervous system, which in part are felt at the head and low back. Hence, the title of my inaugural lecture, Unraveling the Mystery of Gray Shadows, Pains of the Head and Low Back. Acknowledgements. My profound gratitude goes to God Almighty, who has led me this far. I thank my late parents, Chief Silvanus Ume Okpara and Ezine Sophie and John Okpara, for all the care and prayers. How I wish they were here today to see me deliver this inaugural lecture. I take solace in the fact that my beloved mom was alive when I rose to the rank of professor. I got all her hugs. I appreciate my late maternal grandmother, Lolo Emejo Onwuka Obiejesi, for making me realize at an early age that life is not a bed of roses, and that taking up hard tasks makes one strong and focused. I'm grateful to all my siblings. Some of them are here today. I can see them. Augustina Okpara, she's here. Venerable Augustine is here. And Evangelist Okechukwu Okpara is here. And my lovely sister-in-law, Uche. Lolo Uche Okpara is here. My nieces and my nephews, I thank you for believing in me and encouraging me. I thank my husband, Professor Ato Chukwubike Onwuchekwa, a renowned neurologist, my hero, my soulmate. What can I say? I can imagine how happy he is today. He always wished me excellence. With his soft but firm voice, you can do it. Thank you for the trust you have in me. I thank my 4 lovely children, my 4 angels, Dr. Ijoma, Dr. Ugonna, Barrister Obinna, and Mr. Chidebere, for their steadfastness and their hard work. Dr. Ugonna had to fly in yesterday from Manchester, in spite of his tight work schedule, to be with mommy in this inaugural lecture, and also to stand in for his siblings who couldn't make it because of their work schedule. Dr. Ugonna, thank you. I love you. I appreciate every member of the Obiejesi family, Okpara family, and Onwuchekwa family. My family, friends, and Christian brethren, thanks for being there for me. My spiritual fathers, I saw them. Venerable Chemela, I saw him. I saw my reverend, the current curate of our church. He's here. I saw him somewhere. You are welcome. I appreciate my teachers at the primary, secondary, and university levels of education. Thank you for imparting knowledge in me. I thank these great men and women for their impact in my professional and academic life. Professor Christian Anna, Professor Jacob Adote, Professor Johnny Kimalo, Professor Ndueke, Professor Kanu Kangineme, Professor Felicia Eke, Professor Anna Elihe Kwaba, Professor O.J. Odia, Professor Christy Mato, Professor Peter Oko, Professor Ali Sinte, Professor Chris Akani, Professor Sunday Chinenye, and Professor Chioma Onachukwu. I thank especially my mentors in radiology, late Dr. Oswabo Alasia, Reverend Sister Teresa Anele, Dr. Wabu West, Dr. Adenike Abuwa, Dr. Bumi Olatunji, Professor Rashid Aragundede, Professor Donald Nze, Professor Victor Adetiloye, Professor Samuel Mbo, Professor Adenike Akibe, and Professor Abiodun Adeyinka. I am especially grateful to my father in radiology, Professor Nelson Chukwuemeka Nwankwo. He taught me at the undergraduate and fellowship levels and mentored me to become an excellent radiologist. Thank you, sir, for all you did for me and have continued to do. Thank you, sir. To all my colleagues in the Department of Radiology, UPTH, whom I call my radiology family, the consultants, all the present and past resident doctors, the nurses, the radiographers, secretarial and auxiliary staff of the Department of Radiology, thanks for your support. My colleagues in radiology who had encouraged my progress, thanks for your support. The clerical staff of the Department of Radiology, Faculty of Clinical Sciences, thank you for your good job. I also want to appreciate Professor USA Tawo, who appointed me honorary consultant with University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. Professor Blessing Dibia, who brought me into the College of Health Sciences. Professor Don Baridan, who employed me as staff of the University of Port Harcourt. And Professor Ndowa Lale, who saw my promotion to the rank of professor. Let me now acknowledge the support of my immediate bosses, Professor in the university, Professor Abraham Owunari Georgewill, our Digital and Golden Jubilee Vice Chancellor. Professor Angela from Breeze, here is written Provost College of Health Science, but her rank has gone up. She has been promoted to Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Development. Madam, congratulations once more. Professor Macklin Apa, Dean Faculty of Clinical Sciences, and Professor Chinwe Omuchekwa, Head of Department of Radiology. I appreciate all the past and present CMDs of UPTH. To all the patients that pass through the radiology department, I thank you for being the source of information for my career. And to you, my highly revered audience, royal fathers, the press, professors, academic staff, administrative staff, and students of UNIPORT, thank you for coming. The members of Apple Autonomous Community Union and Akokwa United People Assembly, Port Harcourt branch, these are my people from Akokwa in the Idato North local government area of Imo State. Thank you for your support. The members of Ndiago Compound and Obinkita Progressive Union, Port Harcourt branch, these are my husband's people from Arochukwu, the Aro Okibo, the great people. Thanks for being here for me. Members of St. Nicholas Anglican Church, Omoku Alu, the church where I and my family worship. They are here in numbers. Thanks for the show of love. The members of Izumuna, University of Port Harcourt, thanks for supporting me. Nigerian Medical Association, Rivers State, thanks for supporting me. Association of Radiologists in Nigeria, Rivers State chapter, even the chairman is here. Dr. Lose, thank you for being here for me. To God be all the glory.
Professor Regina Chinwe Omuchekwa, the 201 lecturer, inaugural lecturer, will officially present the lecture to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt. No, it's my own note. Thank you very much. The Registrar of the University.
For some of us in the social sciences and humanities and some other disciplines, this lecture is a fascinating one. and I wish to personally thank the lecturer for this enlightenment. May I now invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Owunari Abraham George Will, to give his closing remarks. Vice Chancellor, sir.
Thank you. Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, DVC Research and Development, the University Librarian, Registrar represented, Provost, Inaugural Lecturer. Let me stand on all the protocols we have established. Education on healthy lifestyle for students alone, no, for staff and students. Thank you very much. Indeed, I concur with Professor Regina Umchekwa that she has not dissipated all her energies yet. I agree with her on that. Why only one inaugural from radiology? Maybe the subject is so complex to get an inaugural done. But whatever be the reasons, your inaugural today has opened the way for inaugurals in radiology. And we wish to thank you for this bold step. And I believe that the gateway to inaugural in radiology has been declared open by Professor Regina Onwuchekwa today. But let me quickly make an observation. Why pictures are allowed in the text of your inaugural lecture? Pictures are not allowed in the citation. Please, I want to make this clear so that subsequent persons will not immediately, because once they see this inaugural booklet, the next thing will be every citation will have pictures of their life story. No. Citations do not contain pictures apart from just the picture of you in academic gown. Please, the pictures can be in the text. You can put 10 pictures in the text wherever you want, but the citation should please not contain pictures. Otherwise, the next one, I will have a picture album in the citation. So, Professor Regina Umchekwa, you have done very well, but let me just put this out so that subsequent people will not follow and put pictures in the citation. Having said that, let me now make my summary briefly. I salute the scholarship, the dedication, and the clarity of purpose that Professor Regina Chinwe Onwuchekwa has displayed before us today. This lecture has done more than just present radiological facts. It has confronted us with the truth that behind every gray shadow on the screen is a life, a hope, a struggle, and often a silent cry for healing. It has shown us that the human body, though clothed in skin and protected by bones, is still vulnerable to hidden adversaries. Headaches that cripple thought, strokes that strike without warning, cancers that mask themselves in the shadows, and low back pain that silently erodes the dignity and vitality of women. Professor Onwuchekwa has demonstrated to us that radiology is not simply a technical discipline, but the eye of modern medicine. An eye that sees beyond the veil of the flesh. An eye that reveals what the human senses cannot. An eye that has saved countless lives by unmasking the invisible. Indeed, it is an eye that peers into the shadow of death and disability and offers humanity a chance at restoration. The Nigerian story of radiology, according to our inaugural lecturer, teaches us that we must not only inherit technology, but we must also nurture local innovation. invest in training, and make advanced imaging accessible to ordinary Nigerians. Even more striking were the vivid cases she shared. The young pregnant woman whose life and unborn child were saved by the discovery of intestinal obstruction through ultrasound. The stroke patient whose gray shadows on CT spoke louder than cultural myths about spiritual attacks. These cases remind us that radiology is not an abstract science. It is a life-saving ministry of light against darkness, of evidence against ignorance, and of science against premature death. Professor Onchekwa has shown what low back pain is, a leading global cause of disability, and provided detailed insights into its pathogenesis, risk factors, and implications for healthcare. Through her pioneering research, she has contributed significantly to the understanding of degenerative changes in the spine, lifestyle and environmental factors, gender-specific insights, and spinal biomechanics. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond diagnosis, Professor Regina Onchekwa projects the future of interventional radiology in Nigeria, especially in the treatment of central nervous system diseases. Our key recommendations of equipping state and federal hospitals with advanced imaging technology, integrate healthy lifestyle, education into curricula, to build lifelong habits of preventive care, etc., are all worthy of note. To our policymakers who are here, who have heard us speak, may I emphasize, investing in radiology is investing in life itself. For every stroke detected early, for every cancer unmasked in time, for every mother's pain explained by imaging, will add years to life and life to years. I wish to profoundly congratulate Professor Regina Chinwe Onchekwa for this brilliant, critical, and deeply humane lecture. You have enriched our minds, challenged our conscience, and reaffirmed the University of Port Harcourt's place as a beacon of scholarship that heals society. Dear audience, as we depart from this hall, may we carry with us not only the knowledge of great shadows, but also the resolve to ensure that those shadows never triumph over light. Ladies and gentlemen, you will all agree with me that Professor Regina Onchekwa has discharged herself creditably in this inaugural lecture and has demonstrated sound and deep knowledge of her discipline. Radiology is a delight to listen as she exudes her knowledge of a discipline she loves so much, a discipline she professes. Therefore, shall we please rise? Shall we please rise? Can I plead with you to rise? And let us give a resounding applause to this erudite 201 inaugural lecturer, our own Professor Regina Chinwe Onchekwa. Thank you for such a wonderful lecture. God bless us all. Thank you.
Please be seated. Thank you very much, everyone, for finding time to be at the University of Port Harcourt today for the 201st inaugural lecture of the University of Port Harcourt. Thank you very much. Listen to this announcement. As usual, the university has put off a very spectacular and very sumptuous cocktail in honor of our 21st inaugural lecturer. And it's going to be for herself, his immediate family, and the professors in gown here, and some select individuals at the venue where we usually meet. And I also like to inform us that immediately after the closing formalities, we shall have a special reception, which is going to be led by the Vice Chancellor, the principal officers of the university, including the provost here acting, and the inaugural lecturer. And the next would be the professors here. Please, we'd like everyone, wherever you are, to please remain wherever you are until the recession is over. But don't forget that immediately after that, we shall go to the entrance to the complex to take a group photograph to keep today's memories lingering. On that note, I would like to respectfully invite everyone to rise as we officially bring this program to a close with the anthems. University and the National.
On the green lowlands and swampy plains of the New Calabar River stands the University of Port Harcourt, a citadel of learning and excellent education. Oh, academic enthusiasts, searching for knowledge and wisdom, enlightenment, and self-reliance on mission. Our hope in the future is rooted in God. The vision of our Father shining in the stars, opportunities unlimited and equal. Our progeny citizens of the universe, from far and near, the pride of UNIPORT echoes. Unique, UNIPORT. Unique, UNIPORT. Unique, UNIPORT. Unique,
The national anthem, the first stanza only.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Thank you very much. Please remain standing. The media will give us special instrumental music. May we respectfully wait for the Vice Chancellor to lead the recession. We are going for the photographs straight to the entrance to the complex. I was also asked to inform you that Professor Onwuchekwa and the family has prepared beautiful food. Nice food for everyone. So don't be in a hurry, please. As you leave, they've started sharing anyway, so just remain wherever you are. Thank you. Our big men, the professors down there, will get ready to also join the line. Sorry. Right, those near the other door can use the side. We have 2 exits up. If you're not interested in the food, you can use the 2 exits up. If you want some food, you use the doors. Thank you. Some people are using the other door. Please, can you leave the music, please? Mitchell, allow the music play, please. Mitchell, please, can you allow the music to play?